Yep, and we're live. And hello, guys. Welcome to the Mid-Innings review or preview, or however you want to call it, of the third ODI between India and Australia. A very, interesting, two halves, so to say, of the first innings. Mitchell Marsh, David Warner, Steven Smith, all of them got runs in the first half. We've got Nikhil Popat, we've got Somesh Agarwal. So let's again cut to the chase. Let's start. How are we doing, guys? आप दोनों ने पूरा innings शायद नहीं देखा होगा from at least that's what अच्छा निखिल भाई तो पहले से ही कह रहे कि नहीं
ये
भाई
ऐसे ऐसे गलत एक्सक्यूजेशंस किसी और पे लगा लो, मेरे को कोई इशू नहीं है। मेरे पे नहीं।
आप हमें इनके साथ मत जोड़िए।
हाँ, बिल्कुल।
नो वरीज, नो वरीज। जस्ट क्रिकेट से लेट होती भाई, इतना लेट थोड़ी हो यार। मिचेल मार्श खुद तो अभी आया है मेरे सामने यहाँ पे प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए। इतनी जल्दी तो क्या ही करना है, बताओ। बात करेंगे आराम से, डोंट वरी। So yeah, let's cut to the chase. Somesh, let's start with you. Mitchell Marsh, fantastic knock right up top. He was replacing Matt Shaw. Travis Head is injured, so he's most likely going to be a part of their top order even in the World Cup. How good was this innings, and how would you rate India's bowling as well with the new ball?
See, when the ball is gun barrel straight, Mitchell Marsh is always gun barrel straight himself. So, I mean, the ball did literally nothing in the first 5-6 overs. The pace was down. But I mean, of course, credit to Mitchell Marsh on sort of capitalizing on the opportunity. In the past few years, I can say that whenever such situation arises when Mitchell Marsh can capitalize, he's done so. I mean, he was, I think, the top scorer in the series. He was the player of the series when India played Australia in March before the IPL. So it's expected. Good for him. Slightly pissed with Warner. I think the Aussie fans will be more pissed than I am. The point that I made earlier that him and Rohit are not interested to play long these days was, materialized with the shot that he played. It was not needed. I mean, runs itne easily aa rahe, so why do you want to take that risk? But apart from that, things went in expected direction. Before I can give out the entire summary in one go, maybe we can hear from Nikhil as well.
Yes, Nikhil bhai. What do you again? I would like to actually probably hear a bit more on India's bowling before we get into Marsh and Warner. Warner के बारे में हमने बात किया था. He was coming into the series in good form, तो उसे expected था. He went on to score another 50. I mean, nothing new in that, and it's so great to see him in such good form. But India's bowling, especially with the new ball, Bumrah and Siraj, both of them were sort of, making I wouldn't say a comeback, but yeah, were playing after a rest. And I mean, I understand surfaces weren't in their favor and all of that, but do you think those excuses were warranted, or you expected more from them?
I'll honestly say I expected more from the management in terms of the usage of the bowling. I felt if you look at the bowling card, it feels very weird. Sometimes, I mean, you've got Prasidh Krishna, but he came on again. He did. It was still more templatized in terms of this is what we want to do. They had stuck to their plans that no matter what happens, this is our order of preferences to give the ball to people. And then you did not see a lot of rejig there, which is the only thing where I feel India should probably look to be a bit more proactive. That so see Sundar bowled economically well right through the innings. Now I myself don't think India can afford having a lot of defensive options, but at the start of the innings, now again I know Mitchell Marsh is somebody who can take the attack on, but I felt there was room for India to try Sundar early as well in the power play to these two batters. If he's able to bowl economically well, it will result in a chance at the other end. So that is probably the only space where I felt that India were too stuck to their plans, because even the Kuldeep Yadav bit you saw, he didn't bowl out. I don't see any reason for Sundar to bowl out and Prasid to not have enough game time, or Siraj not bowling out. Again, the problem here is not about bowling enough overs. The problem is where you are bowling and what are you gaining out of it. So I think in that regards, Kuldeep clearly didn't have his best day. Bumrah didn't have his best day. Both went for a lot. Bumrah went for 50 in his first five before coming back to give only 30 in his last five. So there was decent comeback from India, like we saw in Indore. Okay, the moment the ball started to grip a bit into the deck, that's where Bumrah started to get his tricks going, and then they were able to adapt. But I feel that's also where India lost a bit of trick, that they were just too rigid in terms of yahi karna hai, let's stick to our first plans, and but that's what it felt to me from the outside.
Fair, since you also mentioned Sundar briefly, let's talk a bit more about Sundar the bowler. हमने ऑफ एयर भी हम लोग थोड़ा बात कर रहे थे about how he's fared in ODI cricket, and before even we started that conversation, I was actually going through some numbers and trying to see how he's bowled and how he's been used, and there were quite a few interesting numbers. Like in terms of how he's bowled, what lengths he's bowled. Like I was just trying to understand Sundar and Ashwin, how both of them were used in particularly. So one thing I observed was Ashwin more often than not has been used across phases. Sundar ke saath wo nahi hua hai. So Sundar, like for example, Sundar has been used 60% lesser across phases, which means he's predominantly been plying his straight in the middle overs, which shows that the management themselves have been looking at him as a defensive option, as someone who can contain the runs in the middle overs. When the play sort of stagnates, he should be someone who ensures that the opposition does not force their play. And one more way of looking at this is his length. He's hardly attacked the stumps. Again, here he's in terms of, if you compare it with Ashwin, say in this series alone, Ashwin has been a lot more attacking. And in the last 3 years, not that Ashwin's played a lot of ODIs. Again, the disclaimer being that this isn't a very big sample size because both of them haven't featured in a lot of ODIs.
Yep.
But the fact that Sundar is bold, has attacked the stumps close to 40% lesser than Ashwin is still a fairly striking enough number. And another very interesting, I don't know, I would actually like to hear both of you. Like, I'll give you this number and I want to know what you make of it. So Ashwin has bowled 70% more deliveries to right-handers. Matlab Sundar has, would you say Sundar has been used as a matchup option? Or do you think the management is more, sort of comfortable using Ashwin against right-handers as opposed to, say, Sundar? Because today also when you mentioned Marsh ki against Sundar ko laya ja sakta tha, but nahi laye. Opening phase mein laya ja sakta tha, but nahi laye. So what do you make of this? Like, do you think we're just looking too much into these numbers, or kahin na kahin we can look at how the management themselves have been looking at Sundar? Somesh, you could probably go first. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think it's being read into too much because the point is, option ke, if the two batters in the middle are right-handers, the bowler will have to bowl, and same with Sundar today. See, I'll start from the very beginning from the point that Nikhil made about certain bowlers not bowling out, and whereas Sundar did. I think it is down to the conditions. We already saw the batter struggling. When I was watching, I in my mind, I was like, there's absolutely no point for Bumrah and Siraj to complete the quota of overs in this heat. So from that regard, it's always better to a bowler which do not have a really high stake when it comes to the big tournament, though them finishing out their quota. Of course, Bumrah bowled later in the day when probably the temperature would have dipped down. But early on, it made sense, and that's why they were given short spells as well. And this is what I want to assume was the reason. Second thing is regarding Ashwin and Sundar. I think if Ashwin would not have had that fever, he would have played this game as well. There is absolutely no reason for him to rest when he has to buy a spot, right? Of course, in the press conferences, Dravid and Rohit will say that, Ashwin is a seasoned pro, but at the end of the day, he was dropped from the ODI team. It's not like he was saved for other formats. Yeah, it was a clear case of India really discarding Ashwin from the white ball scheme of things because of his performance. And that meant that lack of take. The point is India could not figure out what kind of a bowler Ashwin is. Is he a wicket taker or is he a containing option? Because Ashwin has, he's a finger spinner, but he is more of a wrist spinner with his approach. He wants to take wickets. So that is the thing. And if Ashwin would have been well enough, he would have played this game. So I think this Sundar debate, it's not necessary at the moment. I feel Sundar will anyway go to the Asian Games, and hopefully India will win one more gold there. But I think we just reading too much into Sundar's usage from today.
Just one thing though, not just in the last years, like these numbers are in the last years where both of them have bowled more than 30 overs in ODI cricket. Like I agree, the sample size is not the greatest, but it's not the smallest as well. So Nikhil, aapko kya lagta hai? Especially the left hand, right hand bit. That's where I felt, because the numbers very, starkingly different between the two. Like, do you feel it's just a coincidence, or because 70 to 80%, 78% to be precise? Like Ashwin has bowled 78% more deliveries to left-handers than to right-handers than Sundar. So
see, I feel they're still figuring out the best usage of Washington. I feel at least in terms of ODIs. And I think that was also evident in the way he was used in the Bangladesh series, because you saw him almost being used as an afterthought. Okay, let's give bowling to everybody, and maybe later you go to Sundar. So I think that is what they are figuring out with Sundar. It would be interesting if it was the same case as Som said with Ash, that they're still trying to figure out the exact role that they want to give to this guy. That okay, this is your role. We are more than happy to see you bowling containing lines so that we can attack from the other end. So I think the query only comes up because okay, if he's defensive, he's not giving a lot of runs, he could add some value with the bat. But the point is, he hasn't been in that good reign of form. And as Som rightly said, if Ashwin didn't have the fever, he would have played this game. So there would still not have been any debate. And just to close the loop on the bowling bit, I wanted Prasidh Krishna to bowl more than Siraj and Bumrah. I wanted Prasidh to bowl more because that is what you want to see more of. We've seen enough of Siraj, we've seen enough of Bumrah, but I would not have minded Kuldeep and Prasidh finish in the game, because it's okay if you concede 370 here, but you want to see what options Prasidh gets if at all he's bowling at the end. So I think that's where India probably just missed out, but I don't think they mind that as much.
Maybe the fact that they were at somewhere close to 286 if I'm not wrong at the 40 over mark. So वहाँ से like you said 370-80 भी पहुंच सकते थे at Prasidh and Kuldeep got in over. Somesh, you had something to add? Sorry.
Yeah. So just to finish up that Bumrah chat, this is Bumrah's second most expensive spell, or basically joint most expensive spell. He went for 81 and took 2 wickets against England in that Dhoni Yuvraj game at
150,
2017. Yeah. Something that Indian fans would want maybe Kohli and Rohit to replicate today.
वैसे भी सोच सकते हैं.
सही है. पठान, जवान, टाइगर सब सारे मिला लो भाई.
मतलब मस्ती तो चल रही है ना. We saw the game. I mean, it's like no one is interested. Even the umpire is not interested to sort of move it forward. हाँ भाई ठीक है बैठो chill करो. कोई issue नहीं.
Fair. हमने so basically second ODI में भी हमने बात की थी. We sort of broken down India's innings into 10 over blocks and seen how they'd slow down in the middle phase. तो आज का भी अगर हम देखें, first 10 overs it was 90, then it became 56 in the next 10 overs, then it went up to 74 in the next 10, again went down to 56 between 30 to 40 before they got around 66 in the last 10. So if you see, it was periods of lull followed by periods of aggression. You think it had to do with weather more than anything, or what do you think? Was it bowling? Nikhil bhai, you can probably...
It has definitely nothing to do with milestones.
100% sure. So having got that away, I think the key part here is I think the pitch was also best to bat in the first half. And you saw in the way Mitchell Marsh started as well, and the way Smith got going. I think the weather did get to both Marsh and Smith. The 96 was a tired shot. There was no other way Marsh was getting out. And India would thank that both Marsh and Smith got out at the right time, because had they gotten off, again, maybe we don't know how they would have approached that milestone. Marsh was anyway 4 runs away, but they would have really gone harder after that turn. So they could have simply scored the above par score maybe for this deck. And it is something that we talked in the second game as well. कि जैसे इंदौर में हुआ था, अगर यहाँ पे भी if the pitch starts to slow down, this score will still be above par. So that is something that I'm very keen to look at, that how does India face this now? Because they've seen what's happened with Australia, that they had these phases. Under lights, if it's going to get better to bat, then I don't think India will mind. But if not, then I'm very keen to see not only the batting order, but how they plan to attack the first 10 and the subsequent 10 over graphs.
That's actually a very good point, and to be honest, today they also have Tanveer Sangha, someone DPL में तो अच्छा किया था, MLC मैंने और ज्यादा देखा था, and I really like what I saw from, मतलब अच्छा है, he has some good options, he has a very nice smooth run up, so काफी सही रहेगा. अगर पिच थोड़ा सा स्लो हो जाता है, टर्न होता है, कोहली भाई साहब को और थोड़ा हम लोग देखेंगे, struggling probably. And as an RCB fan, देखो भाई, even I can take a joke on myself. Just wanted to put that out there.
ये joke नहीं, ये खाली cover कर रहा है.
ये मतलब से पहले से ही बता रहा हूँ कि हाँ भाई ठीक है. But
ये cover कर रहा है.
Kohli against youngsters or newcomers, so to speak, is also a battle.
That's also
I don't mind him scoring 100 and then getting out to him. It's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Score 100 and then get out to him.
Chalo, all right. Jagannath Adisesha says Sangha 5 wickets loading. If I'm not wrong, this is just his second ODI, so not a bad time to get a five for sure. And this is an interesting question from Vasant. Let's just take this before we go forward. Kate's keeping. What did you make of it, Nikhil bhai? Let's start with your second ODI. We discussed at length. Quite a few of the wickets were due to all those mishaps that happened with KL. So, आज का what do you think? Like, again, two smaller sample size, we know that, but in general, overall, how was it? Fielding effort and then also KL.
No, I think I said the same day on KL as well that it was more to do with how the pitch was behaving. Definitely, he did not always get in the best of positions, but I felt it was also because of the nature of the deck. And the more he keeps, the better this will become as a natural instinct because it needs more game time. So, in that sense, you didn't see enough drops. Maybe the last ball was one, but that's it. Is he still was able to keep hold of most of the things that came his way. So I think that is what we are expecting of him. कि भाई जो आ रहा है वो ले लो. Tough chances. I'm still okay with some of them going here and there.
Fair. All right. And one last thing before we sort of move on to India's batting. ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बैटिंग में हमने आज भी देखा कि ग्रीन did not really get much. पहले दो मैचेस में he got run out unfortunately, but आज he had the chance to sort of power his team to to a well above par total from an above par total. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Our Earth is best says Stoinis instead of Green is better. What do you make of that?
By the way, Stoinis has a 50+ score in the past 3 years.
वो तो इसीलिए exactly, but even then Stoinis, I mean, I know I'm as an RCB fan, I shouldn't be saying this, but reputation does, his reputation does precede him, and that way he has proven himself in different formats. Do you still think he sort of probably should be given more chances? Because even in the first couple of ODIs, from what I remember, oh yeah, he did get out to that length ball from Shami. No, I'm not forgiving him. I'm sorry. Just hit him.
The point here is
so
this is the exact this is the biggest headache for Australia themselves. That one, and I would add to it Carey's form as
Yes.
Something that I mentioned in the preview as well. These are the couple of positions where Australia don't look quite convincing. This will be their biggest headache going into the World. And something which is very unlike Australia, that they are going with a couple of headaches going to the big tournament. We all know that Australia, obviously, they will step up when the big stage comes. But the point is, certain players, that they have, they're not playing to their full potential and things like that. But this form issue is staggering. See, Stoinis has always been a debate. I mean, people had issues with the way he tackles spin. He's countered that, became a beast in T20 cricket. But right now, I mean, 3 years is a very long duration to not score a 50+ score. And Cameron Green, again, he's since the Ashes injury, his form has dipped in whatever way, shape or form he's represented Australia. So that is a cause for concern.
Yeah, I think the one reason that I feel for that is a lot of these batters are people who don't always get in and get going. If you see Cam Green, you see Stoinis, and you feel that they still need time, and their best destructive best comes once they are in. So I think today also Green batted way down the order. I don't think that's a spot where Green is going to come off more often than not. So I think that's just maybe it's just a part of the game how they want to set up, because I can understand why again the same point about having a lefty, because otherwise there is no left-hander in that entire lineup. If you take out Alex Carey, everybody is a right-hander. So they want to have that option up there that okay, let's throw Carey in because he's able to find the gaps, use reverse sweeps. On paper, better player, but form has deserted him. And the touch, he had a 99, but again, so at this point of time, some of the cricket has been such that you can't take it on the face value that it is good, because at sometimes it hasn't been full potential from either of the sides. So that's what has cost Australia in that sense. I feel today, even with Maxwell, I feel they should have sent him earlier. They had a very good chance of him allowing himself to get in, and I mean he got a good ball from Bumrah, so not his fault, but felt they could have used him better. I'm very keen to see what they do with Marnus because he's continued to score runs, probably highest run scorer for Australia this year now, and that's come out of nowhere for them. So I don't think he's going to go up the order because Marsh stays there, but maybe Marnus's form could help them not make that difficult choice easier between the all-rounders. Okay, we will stick to Marnus, have Maxwell at 5, and then just pick one all-rounder. So maybe that could solve, but as Som said, it will still mean that your bowling has to start from 7. And I don't think it's a safe place to get into.
Interesting that you actually brought up, Maxi's point, because today Alex Carey came in ahead of him at number 5.
Yeah.
And I remember Brad Harden talking about, how Maxwell is Australia's designated number 5 for the World Cup initially.
Yeah.
और बाद में जब Alex Carey came in, he himself reneged on it and said कि नहीं वो floater है. तो निखिल भाई जो Alex Carey आज ऊपर आए, do you think it's more a reflection of them trying to break the right-handed monotony, or are they looking at Maxi more as a finisher, number 6, number 7 उस वाले एरिया में, end overs में आके थोड़ा runs जल्दी बना दे?
See, the way I look at it is Marnus was able to take care of anything that was given to him. So, in my opinion, if you have somebody who's getting stuck, then you want to send a left-hander there so that he can help the other guy out. But at this point of time, it wasn't the case. Marnus was doing his job best, batting at a decent rate. So, in the context, I felt Maxwell had to be given more time because he's the one who's coming off of a long layoff. So, there was little to gain from Carey scoring and a lot more to gain from Maxwell having a good hit before Bumrah and others came in to stop him. So I felt in that sense they missed out, or that's what I also think for matchups. Okay, they are critical. You have to have left-hander, right-hander option, but if the other guy is not good enough, then you need that option. Just for Ishan as well, because Shreyas and KL, I feel confident in them taking care of spin, which is why I'm not too perturbed out by not having a left-hander. But अगर ऐसा केस नहीं होता तो then 100% I would have also been thinking कि नहीं यार let's get somebody who is able to tackle spin क्योंकि Kishan also doesn't tackle spin that way. So that's where I felt Australia probably wanted to maybe give Carey more time, but I don't think it worked out in that sense for them.
Fair. All right. They probably did want to give Alex Carey more time. We can't give our viewers more time. Hi, like karo jaldi, please. 40 of you watching this, 14 likes. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you've also subscribed to us if you haven't. We'll also get into the comments soon. Before which, we'll just talk a bit about India's batting and now how do you think India should structure this chase? What template do you think should they follow? Have Australia provided them a decent enough, framework, so to say, or template to follow, or do you think India should do what they've done in the first 2 ODIs? Somesh, you could go first.
Yeah, I think they'll do well if they can replicate the Jaipur 2013 template.
रोहित कोहली साथ में क्या खेल रहे कि एकदम अरे
ये बेस्ट केस सिनेरियो प्रेस कर दिया इन्होंने बेस्ट केस सिनेरियो.
No, I'm just kidding. This will be a very good test for India because I don't know. I for one feel that India are not a 350 side. They can end up scoring 350 while batting first and whatnot. I mean, on a given day, but in a longer run, if India can become a 350 sort of a side, then that gives them the best chance to compete against England as well. Because in my opinion, this World Cup would be all about the team that can beat England. So on that regard, it will be interesting to see how players approach. We all know, certain players we know how they'll bat. We know how will Rohit bat. Kohli, I mean, for him, ODI cricket is like he eats ODI cricket for breakfast. So he would know how to approach it. The thing is, they'll have to see which the bowlers that they can target. And if Mitchell Starc can move the ball around with the new ball, then it's going to become even more challenging for India. So that's more important. I mean, all the players they know how to sort of go by building their innings, but it will be about certain players targeting certain bowlers.
Fair, interesting. So Nikhil bhai, in the pre-match, or rather in the match preview that we had some time back, we spoke about Jadeja, Sundar, one of them probably being promoted up the order because number three wala वैसे भी थोड़ा खाली spot है. Here is going to be our designated number 4. KL is going to be our designated number 5. So might as well give them a promotion. But now, given the circumstances, given that we're chasing 353, you still stick to Jadeja or Sundar being promoted, or do you feel कि नहीं Iyer at number 3, KL at number 4, Sky at number 5? Let's just stick to that. Nikhil
It
bhai,
is Sundar
smile.
opening.
I think Nikhil has already
Oh!
seen something. Yeah.
Yes, Sundar is opening apparently. Nice. I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Might as well give him a chance to open the batting
Yeah.
because that was the
Yeah.
best place to go. It's a good thing. I just hope it works. Even if it's a good 35-40, I have no problem because I feel that's where he's best at. I've been saying it ever since his TNPL century. Okay, hey, there are skills that you can use, and power play is the best time to get such players out as well. He's able to loft well, pull decently. I mean, Australia know that any which way, but different format. But I'm not saying it will be easy, but I think he's better used there, like in this lineup. So very happy to get that right. Hopefully, I think the template is set in that sense. I think one will attack, one will hold.
This
While you
this
have,
all.
yeah,
Good,
please
good.
go.
No, Nikhil, finish off. Then I'll.
See, I feel 3, 4, 5 ka tempo is set.
Yeah.
Kohli, Shreyas, and KL Rahul, I have no problem. They know their games inside out. They know how to go as per the deck and the situation. So I think these two, if they are able to set it up well, expecting 3, 4, 5 to take care of the job, and will not be surprised if we still see Jadeja higher.
Also, this means that the 3, 4, 5 will bat in the position that they will bat come
Yes.
what 7th of October is when India plays the first game. 8th of October. Yeah.
Eighth.
And of course, with Sky at 6, even if they need 100, the last 10, India will still be alive. And it'll be a good test for Sky as well. I mean, if not for ODI, maybe he can have another crack at practicing his already genius level T20 skills.
No, but 100 might still be too much. I'll still say कि 85, 75, 85 रखो. 100 might be too many. क्योंकि 250 बनाया फिर
But
40 में तो
that is where the challenge arises. Right? 80 में तो you would sort of feel कि Sky will do it,
Right.
but 100 would be the proper challenge.
नहीं वो भी है.
All right, let's take a few comments before we wrap this up. Jagannath Adisesha, he goes on to say, Australia is back just before the World Cup. Never and ever right of any Aussie team in big events. नहीं भाई, हम तो उनमें से हैं नहीं. हमने तो पहले भी बोल रखा है कि we aren't writing them off. Any team will write them off at their own peril. That's for sure.
And अक्षय ने तो नेदरलैंड्स को राइट ऑफ नहीं किया तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया को क्या करें?
Exactly भाई, exactly. मैं स्कॉट एडवर्ड सिम्प हूँ भाई, क्या करें? But World Cup की बात अभी छेड़ ही दी है, तो guys, make sure all of you tune in on Friday sharp 7 o'clock. I mean, from Friday to Sunday, each of those 3 days we'll be doing a mega preview from 7 p.m. It'll be me, it'll be Nikhil, it'll be Gurkirat, it'll be Avnish, there'll be lots of banter, lots of analysis, lots of chat, lots of interaction with all of you, talking about the World Cup, talking about the venues, talking about all the teams, how they've built up and how they are in the lead up to this World Cup. So do join us. Let's have loads of fun then. So let's take a few more comments now. Vasan Narayan, he says, Akshay will be happy if India loses. Just joking. What were the mistakes Indian bowlers did in the power play and how should India structure the chase? काफी हद तक बात कर लिए दोनों questions के बारे में. So thank you Vasan for that question and we hope we've answered that. Sumit Garge, he says Prasid isn't in the World Cup 15 anyway. Needed Siraj and Bumrah to get the death overs. That's sort of the antithesis to what all of us were trying to say. So, Nikhil bhai, आपको क्या लगता है? Do you agree with this? Clearly not, I guess.
नहीं, see, I think it is fair to expect that way. But जैसे मैंने बोला, I wouldn't have minded bowling 2-2 at the end. कि भाई 46 के बाद तुमने 4 उससे करा है. But till then, I wanted to see more of Prasid because that is the whole purpose of the game. कि you are looking at potential options कि अगर कोई replace हो रहा है, तो today what you saw Prasid wasn't quite encouraging, to be very very honest, in terms of the lines and the widths that they gave to people. But again, 5 is very little space for you to then make a call on that player. So that is the only reason. Baki to yeah.
Fair. Neural hacks with Vasan says can't play out Stark for some overs today, right? And bhai Rohit ने जिस तरीके से ऐसे pull किया भाई in front of square, clearly they're not looking to play Stark out. And yeah, first 10 overs, what do you think? How much is India going to end up with? Nikhil bhai, क्या लगता है?
Won't be too greedy and say कि भाई 85-86 मारो. I'll be happy with 70 odd.
अरे इतने संतुष्ट क्यों भाई? सुमित भाई और aggressive.
I was saying 80 for 1.
Just to be clear, आप दोनों ने 270 बोला था, इसे 353 टारगेट है. बताओ कौन क्लोज निकला?
तो तुझे क्या लग रहा है पावर प्ले में क्या होगा?
नहीं भाई कुछ नहीं बोलने वाला पता
वो
नहीं
लग
अब-
गया, ये वाला नहीं लग रहा है.
जो भी है, द बॉटम लाइन इज कि अवनीश कितना ऑफ था.
पूछने वाली बात उसमें है ही नहीं. अवनीश की बात की है तो लेट्स जस्ट ब्रिंग अप दिस. इंट्रोस्पेक्ट says Kohli will start by today with an 80 ball 78. Also seeing poor batting depth today. Poor batting depth क्यों? अच्छा 6 down will be Kuldeep, 7 down. Yeah, 6 down Kuldeep, 7 down Bumrah, 8 down Siraj, 9 down Prasid. Fair उतना batting depth है भी नहीं because सुंदर जडेजा दोनों भी खेल रहे हैं. सोमेश too much. I mean सोचने वाली बात है. क्या लगता है आपको?
That's where the test lies, right? उतना भी short batting lineup नहीं है. I mean, in the World Cup as well, you will go with 7 batters. So this is what you have.
But would your 7 batters itself include Sundar and Jadeja? That's the point.
So isn't Sundar a better batter than Hardik?
नहीं.
Okay.
I'm kidding, of course.
अभी
So
क्लिप करके डाल दो भाई सोशल मीडिया
नहीं,
पे.
ये सब लोग कवर कर रहे हैं. आरसीबी वाला खुद के लिए कवर कर रहा है, मुंबई इंडियंस वाला खुद के लिए कवर कर रहा है, सब अपना
नहीं,
अपना लगा रहे
सुंदर
हैं.
मुंबई इंडियंस, इसमें मुंबई इंडियंस क्या है?
हार्दिक,
हमारा?
अरे हार्दिक के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. ऐसा
अरे भाई,
मिस द बोट जाने दो.
एक तो जबरदस्ती मुझे मुंबई इंडियंस फैन बना दिया क्योंकि तुम लोगों को मिल नहीं रहा था. और उसके बाद
करेक्ट.
अब ये तो कुछ ज्यादा हो गया.
ठीक है, हमें भी टीम मिल गई तो हम भी टीम जैसे.
Just in the preview, I said Hardik is the captain in rating. मतलब why will I say that?
अरे कवर अप यार, वो अक्षय तो he does that for a living.
भाई साहब does that for a living. All right. Let me not counter that. But yeah, Pranav Anand, he asks us, Kuldeep's usage was interesting. Do you think they wanted to bowl as minimum of him as possible, or wanted to try him at depth? And Nikhil bhai, I would also like to take you back to the conversation we had day before yesterday, where we spoke about how Kuldeep could be used a lot more in the last 10 overs, similar to how Zampa was being used, and that could be a way of ensuring the likes of Shami, Shardul, they don't have to bowl. So what do you make of this? Like, आज कुलदीप ने जितना कम खेला है.
See, I don't mind him bowling at the end, but my only bit is you have to start him early. I think when India brought him on, I don't think it was the ideal point. And the kind of guy Kuldeep is, you want to give him that early confidence of. See, in this game, you could have tested him as Marsh, seen how he bowls in the first 20. I think he's brought on only after the 20th or 23rd, 22nd or 23rd over. That's, I feel, far too late to get him on. आप उसको स्टार्टिंग में लाओ, 2-3 ओवर डालो, फिर आप 2-3 डाल के जो थर्ड स्पेल है, you can have it at the end. I have no problem. But the point is, you need to set him up to succeed. Even with Zampa, you see him being 2 wickets for 40 odd, and then he comes down to bowl the last 2 or last 2-3. So that I have no problem with, and I expect that to happen. I just felt because they brought him on so late, he started only very defensively. In the lines that he bowled to Marsh, he was short, bowling on middle and leg more. कि भाई मार नहीं खाना. So I think that is a different Kuldeep altogether, as opposed to the one who's looking to always take wickets.
Fair, all right. We're already 1 over up. In fact, we're 7 balls into the first innings. Last thing, predictions एक बार बता दो क्या लगता है, and then we'll wrap it up. जगमीत भाई end करने के time पे hello boys बोल रहे हैं. Hello जगमीत साहब, just make sure you check the entire stream out. Do let us know what you make of India's bowling and also like the stream. But yeah, Somesh, we can start with you. क्या लगता है? How much is, or rather, what's the result going to be? What are you expecting to happen?
I wish India win this. I just want to know the last time when Australia lost 6 ODIs in the row. So maybe if this is the first, I know they've lost 5 in a row once before. They got whitewashed against South Africa in one of the series. But I don't know if they've lost 6 in a row. So might as well make that happen.
All right. Nikhil bhai, what do you think?
Yeah, India winning with Kohli scoring, Rohit scoring, Jadeja getting runs. नहीं तो फिर मतलब नहीं.
नहीं तो मतलब ही नहीं है. अच्छा सही है भाई.
अरे उसके बिना पॉसिबल भी नहीं है.
अब कौन बैठ के सिनेरियो दे रहा है बताओ.
ओके ठीक है, मैं अपना प्रेडिक्शन दूंगा नहीं बिकॉज़ आप सबको पता है बोलने का मतलब नहीं है. आई वाज गोइंग टू से डेविल्स एडवोकेट, बट हां मतलब अभी एलएलबी कर लिया मुझे लगता है. खत्म. एडवोकेट बन के लॉयर ही बनना पड़ेगा अभी सीधा बस.
एडवोकेट बनना क्या, तुझे लड़ना पड़ेगा कि क्यों नेदरलैंड व्हाई नेदरलैंड्स आर द फेवरेट्स फॉर द वर्ल्ड कप.
For that, guys, make sure you tune in on Friday at 7 p.m. You'll know why मैं Netherlands के लिए इतना लड़ रहा हूँ. And that's it from all of us right now. We'll see you at the end of the game. We'll talk about the series. We'll wrap. All right, I'm guessing Sundar's gotten out. कि क्या? Okay,
Just him.
anyways.
Just
अच्छा,
him.
ठीक है. ठीक है. That reaction aside, thank you so much for tuning into the mid-innings review. We'll get back to you guys hopefully again not more than 3 to 4 hours. We'll talk about the series in hindsight. We'll talk about the game and all of that. And thank you so much. See you guys soon.
Cheers.